What is going on, folks? I am Goat. Welcome back to Warframe. So it's July 2nd. Okay. We are going to talk about a little bit of just personal information that I feel about Isleweaver. Okay, about the Isleweaver update. So we're going to go with the good. We're going to go with the meh to bad. And then we're going to go to kind of the ugly. Okay, and I'm going to make this as quick as I can. We'll just kind of see how it goes. So the good, right? We'll just immediately start the good. Yes, I just did like a bunch of color changes. I just shot the actual Oraxia frame build because I was doing some more tinkering. Oraxia. Okay, Oraxia, good. Not S tier, solid B tier frame. Okay, you know, very self-sustainable, very just very cool, fun, unique frame. Some ups and downs with Oraxia. It's nothing that's going to lead to nerfs or anything crazy. But overall, I think Oraxia is a nice little addition to the game. I think the weapons for Oraxia, albeit I still stand by what I say about the Spinnerex being a stupid weapon to release with this frame. The weapons themselves, if you take them for what they are, the Spinnerex and the Scytid actually work hand in hand so well together. I'm actually running them both on my Citrine, for God's sakes, because basically group enemies, let them be toxin procced, and then Spinnerex the bejesus out of them, and it's just fucking good night, game over, shit fucking dies. So it's a pretty damn good time. So Oraxia, the Scytid, and the Spinnerex, very, very good stuff. The Oraxia farm, okay, and the Arcane farm, you know, the amounts required to buy stuff, whether it's Scuttler Husks or whether it's the Dominus Aureus, very, very reasonable. Okay, exceptionally reasonable. We were talking 120 Dominus Aureus to buy Oraxia. I mean, you basically average out to, you know, on base star chart 19 to 20, you know, per run that you get. You can get like 16, or I think you can get like 17 to 22 range, I believe. Or 17 and 21, somewhere in that area. But basically average out to one run will basically get you a component of Oraxia if it doesn't hit in the drop table, which the drop table is kind of full, but that's fine. The fact that the Arcanes are selling in bundles and a very affordable cost at bundles is ridiculously good. So I'm really not mad at that. So the cost amount per items to purchase from the event is great. There's some limiting factors to the event. We'll get into that. So next up, the augments. Even though, as I showed, I'm not using the Jade augment, I do understand its function. I personally think that this is one of the better batches of augments that's released in a minute. And that's not to say that there's been bad ones, because, like, you know, I mean, just look back at the last few arcane or augment releases that we've gotten. Like, none of them have really been terrible. Some of the weapon ones that have come through Nightwave have been kind of questionable, you know, especially this round of Nightwave. But overall, the frame augments have not really been all that bad. So this round is really no different. I mean, they're very, very fucking good in this one. I mean, 3 frames alone, Caliban, Citrine, and Calervo, I mean, just absolutely fucking almost cracked fucking augments. So really not mad at that shit. Valkyr. Okay, Valkyr. So Miss Valkyr herself. This rework is really good. It's not like, again, it's not like S tier crazy shit, but there is some really, really cool applications that you can apply since they've reworked how Warcry actually casts, how Ripline actually works. The fact that paralysis still sucks, that's fine, because we could just helmet whatever the fuck we want to on there. I mean, hell, you can see I've got Eclipse on this particular loadout because it was the loadout I was playing with, among a few others. And then Hysteria, albeit that we lose the invulnerability with it, there's stuff to be gained with it as well as the passive change. So overall, I'm really fine with the Valkyr rework. Again, I'm a casual player. I'm sure some, you know, some much higher tier players, some level cap, some normal level cap players are certainly not happy with a health tank Valkyr. But I don't know. Like, I don't actually talk to too many of them, so that's that's neither here nor there. I personally think, from a casual player perspective, I think Valkyr reworked perfectly fine. The last of the good, the update to the Captain Vor fight. So base star chart, steel path, just the fight. Okay, we're not talking about the super boss fight. We're just talking about the change in mechanic and gameplay of that particular fight. I like it. I like it a lot. Now, the super boss is something we're going to talk about here in a bit, but the regular change up of, instead of going in, basically shoot dude one time, he gets mad, puts himself in a bubble, Grenier attack, kill his buddies, and then he comes out of it, you shoot him one time again, goes back into his bubble, calls his buddies, kill them, pops out of his bubble, shoot him last time, exit mission. No incentive whatsoever. Stupid easy to do. Very fast fucking mission. I like something that has a little bit more oomph to it. A little bit more of, duck and weave, dodge, roll, whatever. I mean, the funny little laser tunnels and shit are an annoyance, which is fine by me. I want to be annoyed by a mission and make it more challenging to do, rather than just take Titania, fly through mission, kill douchebag, and leave. I mean, like, because that's what I would do. Every time I saw Vor or fucking Sergeant, just literally shoot the fuckers and with Titania and leave, because I just wanted to make it as fast as possible. You can still do that, but it, little bit more interesting to do it that way now. So the bad or meh. Okay. First one, meh. I find that the lore fragments that we were able to gain from Scholar's Landing are lackluster at best. My reason for saying this is quite simple. It comes down to the point of saying, we kind of already knew this, but now we get Rascala telling us about it, saying, and here's a little girl, like, it's shit we already knew. Now, I know there's a lot of people that don't give two fucks about lore in this game. There's also quite a few that do, and with Scholar's Landing actually coming back as a playable area, I think the people who actually give a fuck about the lore, me included, were kind of expecting more, right? Like, more than what we got. So, kind of is what it is. On release, Isleweaver. As it sits, Isleweaver release was so fucking buggy. Oraxia wasn't functioning properly. The damage values behind Oraxia was bad, or parkour function, as far as the dodge roll, zoomy zoom to maps, flying all through walls and shit, falling through floors. That was really bad. It just fucked with other frames. I mean, this was a super buggy release. It felt like they rushed the shit out of this fucking release. Now, that being said, at least as of the second, they've done 3 hot fixes and have pretty much curbed the majority of the problems, which is pretty good for them, because the average on a super buggy release seems to be like 8 to 11 hot fixes. So the fact that they were able to curb the majority of the problems in fucking 3 hot fixes, I gotta give them props for that. Even though it's a mad problem to a bad problem, they fixed it up pretty good, so I'm not mad at it. It's just kind of a massive annoyance when you go get new frame and then fall through walls constantly. It's just like, or you can't make it through doorways if you're in the spider form. It's just like, oh, I literally thought it was a frame parkour problem. I didn't think it was a bug, even though she's a bug. So the other thing, this one is just more of a, what in the fuck are they doing? Okay, this is a bad to me. Added recoil to the most random weapons in the game. I do not understand why in the fuck they said, okay, here comes Isleweaver, let's add recoil to the Kuva Kortak and the fucking Kuva Heck and, the fucking Compressa Prime and the Compressa, and the Epitaph and, and massive recoil on the Trumna. I mean, just the most random fucking weapons that already had high recoil values anyway. Let's just make that worse. Where now we have to modify the builds, otherwise we're looking like, we're having a fucking epileptic fit and we're just fucking shimmying up to the ceiling trying to shoot at something. It just makes no fucking sense. Just my thoughts. So, let's get into the ugly. The ugly, first and foremost, I don't know if I'm the only person that thinks like this or not. I do try to keep up with the social medias out there, so... And I've seen a few people mention it here and there. I am personally massively let down that there was no quest to drop with Isleweaver whatsoever. We literally got an email from Dominus Thrax complaining about how Rascala kicked him out of his own fucking party and he needs our help. That's it. Okay? And the only thing that we get as a story is Rascala basically talking shit in between decrees, you know, and while we're in the Undercroft, about Dominus, about us, about, you know, Albrecht, you know, but that's like all there is. So Isleweaver was really just a here's a drop. We're going to do a bunch of updated crap, give you a new fucking frame. And by the way, here's an operation. We're just going to drop that with it. There's literally nothing. There's no backstory. As a lot of people were hoping, oh, we're going to, you know, hear Rascala. We're going to see Rascala, even if it was a cinematic. Okay, take something like the Apostasy prologue, right? So the Drifter, right? Let's just throw this out there as a possibility. Drifter at the mall, talking with the Hex, and all of a sudden, transference hit, operator has brainwave, Drifter has brainwave, Drifter sees Defiri, and Rascala just fucking taken over with the Murmur. You know, like a fucking, you know, a 5-minute cinematic, or us bouncing through kind of like with that Apostasy prologue, touch helmet and walk down a hallway and watch things happen. You know, something to show us why, other than the obvious of, well, we took Hulvania, so she's taking Deviri. He, she, Wally, we know. So I'm just really let down with the fact that all we got was an email, basically. An inbox message from fucking Dominus. That's what we got. And then shit talking. It's a big negative thumbs down for me on that one. I find it really crappy. 2, Operation 8 Claw. Now, we need to segregate this from Isleweaver, because Isleweaver is an update is fine. Okay, Isleweaver is an update, gives us Scholar's Landing, gives us the frame fight with the Oraxia for the farm. I'm fine with that. The Operation 8 Claw has a massive fucking problem. So we are at, I want to say it's like 23.7% overall community growth on the 2nd. That's on collection and spending of the Dominus Aureus little coin things, right? They limit down how much you can spend unless you want to buy this, you know, a bunch of those fucking wisp decorations. What the fuck are you supposed to spend those fucking things on? Because eventually they just go away. Like there's nothing else to buy. You can max out with only 20 purchases of the 5 times Pathos clamps. You cap out with all the arcanes. You cap out with the capturas. If you already own the clan sigils, you cannot buy them again. You know, like there's things that, like, if you already own it, you can't buy it. So therefore you cannot spend it. So the clan progression is really goddamn slow. And the whole point behind the clan progression is to get the evolving Signas, right? Just as a final boon to doing the operation, we get these funky looking, you know, Murmur Signas, which, yeah, they're weird looking, but I still want to own the fucking things. So running the missions is like, cool. But in that will come another problem that we'll talk about after the next thing. So the way, yes, the farm is really, really good, and the amounts are really good, but man, do they need to expand away from just Eidolon arcanes at this point. They need to be offering up, like, every fucking arcane in the game. Really incentivize people to play the shit out of this operation. You know, hell, put Built Forma in there, kind of like Plague Star. Motherfuckers will flock to this shit if you offer Built Forma under the Dominus Aureus. Just leave it uncapped, uncorked, let motherfuckers just farm and get as much form as they can. I swear to God, people would play this bitch until their fucking fingers and their hands were numb and they were one step from a coronary, okay? That much free built forma just flocks people into shit. I don't understand why that one is just going zoomy zooms right over their fucking head. So the next thing, and this one's bad, okay? Now, I first want to say, I was pro slam nerf, okay? Really was. Very much pro slam nerf. And the reason being, and I'm mostly a solo player, just so we're all aware and we don't get the whole, dude, you know, solo exists. No shit. Thank you, Captain Obvious, or whatever, on that particular statement, because I know inevitably somebody's going to be like, bro, get good, solo exists, just do that. Fuck off, you know? Like, that's the best I got. I usually play solo. The only time that I do not play solo is on, like, you know, Steel Path Incursion interceptions, you know, or just if I feel like doing an interception just for a while, just because. If I'm doing, you know, like some funky negative sortie excavation thing, like an energy reduction excavation, it's not that I can't do them, okay? Like, obviously I have Steel Path solo builds for doing shit like this. I kind of do it to enjoy people watching. The only other time that I'm playing on public is when I'm doing EDA and ETA. And I find it much more engaging to do that rather than just the insanity of a bunch of operator function and frame function with a non-synergized loadout with 4 negatives just on the loadout and then 3 negatives per mission. Yeah, it's much more fun to do it with public 99.9% of the time. Then you get somebody who's running hot pink energy colors, doing slams everywhere like a fucking cracked out jackrabbit. And they're literally going bang, 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 bang. Sorry for that pop on my mic. I'm still adjusting my new mic, by the way. Just got the damn thing in, so bear with me. But yeah, when you got somebody pouncing around like the fucking Energizer Bunny all cracked out of their fucking head and doing nothing but like gigantic bright yellow or hot pink or neon green fucking colors, it's really shitty. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it's really crappy to see because for one, you feel like, again, like you've got fucking epilepsy and you're about to fall out of your fucking chair. And then for two, as much as I like slams being really functional in Steel Path, when somebody's quite obviously just abusing the bejesus out of it like that, okay, sure, nerf it down a little. The way that they went about it was beyond heavy-handed, though. Proof positive. When you get done doing the Oraxia fight in the Operation 8 Claw, right? There's a tunnel that takes you back out into Deviri, into the world of Deviri. And the thing that you come across is a bunch of Sanctum containers that contain loot that you definitely want. You know, temporal dust, stuff like that. You know, just, you know, general things that you're going to need to build stuff or feed the Helmuth. That's a good thing too. In order to break said containers with a slam, and yes, I know there's a million fucking ways to break containers open, but given the fact that we're running non-synergized loadouts, which is one of the fat fucking turnoffs for this, that's the other negative here, by the way, is, you know, the fact that we're still doing the Deviri style setup, and instead of just saying, you know, Deviri with a twist, no, it's really just Deviri. We just get to play your random bullshit loadout, you know, setups, except we can take them out in Deviri now. I want to run my loadout, okay? Like, I wasn't expecting it to be any different, but I was hopeful that maybe we could just hit button, go do operation. Even if the standard farm to get Oraxia is still the normal Deviri thing. Once the operation's over with, I'm fine with that. That's Deviri. But for the operation, can you not buttfuck me so hard by making me do non-synergized horseshit just to make the missions take longer? Seriously? I'd like to run my own shit and just go kill stuff and finish the missions and rinse and repeat, but no. We gotta sit there and just run in with the most random shit and just be like, well, here we go, hope this fucking works. Which, running it on base star chart is the best way to do it, it's the fastest way to do it, so it really doesn't matter what the fuck you're running as long as you even have a semi-decent load of, you know, build on anything, you're just gonna breeze right through the base star chart stuff. But the slam build thing is a problem in that tunnel, proof positive, because you literally have to jump to the fucking ceiling, which is about 30 feet up, by the way. So you have to basically jump to the fucking ceiling and then slam to hit 2 sides of a hallway. If you just do the little bunny hop jump, it'll break like the closest container to you, not containers, container to you. So if you just jump, hit the middle of that fucking hallway, you might break 2 containers. If you jump all the way the fuck up, you'll break everything on both sides. It is so unbelievably nerfed down how fucking high you have to jump. You have to do like a Herculean style fucking, you know, pole vaulting style jump to get the kind of, you know, effect that we had prior to. And that is too much. Okay, that is nerfed down a bit too much. As much as I was pro slam nerf, this is a little too much. Okay, like, it goes back to the AoE nerf. It's, you get a bunch of people doing one thing. So Wukong with Akuva Brahma or Wukong with Akuva Zar, and then a clone doing the same shit with no other weapons and just blasting the bejesus out of a map. What do you think caused the fucking ammo nerf? And the AoE nerf? Well, a bunch of people bunny hopping around like cracked out tweakers and doing, you know, bunny hop slam builds. What do you think caused the slam nerf? Here we are. Pissing off a bunch of fucking people doing it. I'm not saying that people shouldn't have fun, but just, I mean, overly just abusing the bejesus out of a mechanic in the game because you can. Oh, bruh. So yeah, I think it was very heavy-handed what they did with the slam nerf. I hope that they revert it back a little bit because it is a bit too much. The final negative I have about the Isleweaver update, and there is I say that for a reason, but there's something that happened to pre-Isleweaver, and I just want to talk about it. So, but the final thing to Isleweaver is damage attenuation. Now, I have seen a lot of people on social media talking about this, and I do not disagree. So, damage attenuation has been a thing in Warframe since the Kuva Liches, as far as I remember. I don't, you know, or Juggernauts and things like that. Like the Juggernaut, massive damage attenuation. The Kuva Liches and the Sisters of Parvos and the Technocyte Coda all have damage attenuation, with no type of mechanic in the game whatsoever to negate it. Now, as a general principle, and I just want to give a quick back brief here, okay? I've been playing video games since I was 5 years old, okay? That's 40 fucking years I've been playing video games. I started on Pong and Atari 2600 and NES and fucking Game Boy, and you name the game system, I probably played it. You know, when you start getting into more MMOs and, you know, big types of boss fights, there's so many different kinds of mechanics that are in a lot of these games. You know, Monster Hunter's got them, you know, fucking Destiny's got them, you know, just general gameplay loops that you could do with different character classing in order to buff and, you know, assist each other to do things. You know, Elden Ring, you know, Baldur's Gate. I mean, things like that. There's different ways to approach boss fights. And what Oraxia, or what Isleweaver has done has really, really shown the ugliness of damage attenuation. So and we'll back brief it a little bit more. So basically, damage attenuation is when you shoot an enemy, a percentage of your damage is negated. Okay, after that first instance of damage, the mechanic inside of that design of the boss basically negates down a percentage of your damage, and the next time you give an instance of damage, it does another percentage, and so on. And it takes whatever OP ass fucking build that you got and negates it down to basically baby bitch numbers. It makes you feel like you're shooting rubber bullets out of a fucking BB gun. Okay, and that's the overall underlying basic bitch way to describe damage attenuation. Now, Warframe is almost famous at this point for using damage attenuation, so we can't just one-shot shit. And we did it with the Archons. Because when the Archons came out, which was pre-Technocyte Coda, obviously, so basically when Call's Garrison released, we got the Archon hunts. And when we got the Archon hunts, the damage attenuation was ridiculous. So, you know, a smaller group of people in the community started coming up with headshot builds because damage attenuation can only trigger off of an instance of damage. Well, if you throw a metric fuck ton of damage in one singular instance of damage, that's enough to kill the fucking boss. Damage attenuation doesn't fucking matter, right? Here, I'm gonna try something because I keep seeing my microphone is peaking. Ah, there we go. Hopefully that helps. Sorry, I'm still working on things. So. And DE realized that there was a lot of people complaining in the forums, and there was a bunch of people just very, very frustrated with how the Archon system was working. So basically, they lowered the attenuation scale. So they lowered the percentage on which your damage was cut. Now, we get the first EDA, which is Elite Deep Archimedia, had the fucking fragmented one in it. And man, I gotta tell you, after seeing the hotfix notes on that shit, the fact that they replaced it with an exterminate because it was so attenuated, it was timing players out because you could not do enough damage. So the problem is that every time they've been throwing new bosses at us lately, they've been nothing but damage attenuation. So you take the 30-eye boss, you take the you know, the tank, the H09 tank. Those both have damage attenuation. They almost feel like a clock. Okay, funny enough, if you sit there and just unload ammo at a weapon, or unload ammo at that boss, you just see this health bar just slowly trickling. You're still getting red crits and orange crits and all sorts of cool shit, and it makes you feel like you're doing something, and you look at that health bar and it's moving at the slowest pace possible. Then, even funnier, then they add super boss versions. So then you get the 60-eye boss, and you get the Apex H09 tank. And then now we've got the super boss version of Captain Vor. And I thought the 60-eye was a little excessive, but fun, right? You had to really kind of think about what the fuck you were doing, because the only other thing that DE seems to be able to come up with right now to try to keep us from just blasting the shit out of a boss is to throw one of two things at us: ability nullification or mag procs. Now, in the case of the Captain Vor fight, it's both, on top of having damage attenuation. So it's really crazy. So you can get hit with the 60-eye boss is ability nullification. So you got to do a lot of parkour, stay out of the way of abilities, and just generally just kind of keep dealing damage, but don't let the fucking thing really strike you with any of its attacks, and you're fine. With the Apex tank, stay out of the raining clouds of toxin death, because the raining clouds of toxin death from the fucking, you know, from the air balloons nullifies your abilities and hits you with toxin procs. Now, the toxin procs I'm fine with. I really am. Like, you're going a little squishy that way, but I'm actually fine with it because it's not so bad. But the ability nullification is right there with it, and you're just going, really, like, why? This is the best counter that you have? Really? And then we get to Captain Vor. In this boss fight, everything, the moment you activate the super boss, everything has damage attenuation. Now, what I mean is that the normal fight, you fight Vor, you know, you fight him through a quarter of the fight, and then he says, Grenier attack, and then sends in, you know, some heavier units that you have to kill. On the super boss fights, it's all Eximus, and they're all like level 160, and they all have damage attenuation. So not only do they have overguard, once you get through the overguard, then you still have to take them down, and they're lower percentage damage attenuation, but it's basically you better shoot them in the fucking face, otherwise you're going to be just bullet sponging the shit out of just these what normally look like basic bitch Eximus. And it's just like, okay, that's a thing. And then you fight the next round of Vor, and Vor is throwing just a bunch of electric procs and an occasional nullification, which are basically like these balls of lightning that come around and hit you, and you can shoot the balls of lightning if you see them coming. And then you have to do these 2 maze tunnels of laser beams, which are twice as bad as the normal fight, which is fine. It's an irritation, it's a, you know, just a challenge to get through, and that's fine. And then you get to the last round of the fight, and it's just Vor. So there's nothing else to lean on except for these 2 cannons that show up halfway through the second, you know, instance of this fight. And Vor is just constantly throwing these beams of electric damage, constantly throwing, you know, a buttload of fucking, you know, nullification electric balls at you. And then, if that wasn't enough, the fucker has massive amounts of damage attenuation, and again, if that wasn't enough, then the fucking map starts changing around to where the platforms, like, there's like 4 or 5 fucking platforms around one big platform. Those platforms will go down, then they'll come back up, then the big one will go down and come back up. So that means if you're in close proximity to Vor, you don't even have time to shoot the nullifying bubbles because he just throws it at you. On top of trying to kill down this, what feels like a redwood with a piece of wheat. It's just, the fight is really showing just how stupid damage attenuation is. Like, if they would give us a mechanic that could turn off damage attenuation here and there, that would be great, right? Like, you know, you must parkour this section of this fight without getting fucked up and, you know, shoot a spot on the wall, or, you know, hit, you know, or weak point damage only. Like, one of the EDA and ETA things is that, you know, enemies take 95% damage, less damage, on non-weak point hits. So basically you can only deal 5% damage to Vor unless you shoot him at a specified weak point. Like, I would be great with that. you know, maybe those weak point hits are enough to turn off the damage attenuation for a short period of time. Whatever. There's got to be some sort of health mechanic or something else to do other than just mag procking us half to death, which we can bypass with Arcane Nullifier. You know, and then hoping like fuck we can shoot all these stupid electric balls. The parkour part of the fight is fine. I'm totally down with that. But then dealing with so much damage attenuation that you're throwing thousands of rounds at this motherfucker to kill him. It is not fun to play. And yes, I've beaten it, okay? Like, just as proof positive. Orbiter. Landing craft. That's the Samdali you get when you beat it. Giannis Key Samdali. So yeah, I've beaten it. I know what the fuck I'm talking about with this fight. It's a lot of stupid. So I really hope that, you know, DE actually listens to all these people that I'm seeing bitch about this fight, about these fights, because they're just going overboard with this crap. And I like a challenge in this game. I like having, you know, an air of death to a fight. I'm totally fine with failing missions, you know, to learn the mechanics of the mission. But when the mechanics of the mission can't be bypassed, then it's like, oh, well, okay, now I just got to do something really insane. So it is what it is. I don't know. Damage attenuation is becoming a really big problem. And it's like this ultimate crutch that DE is leaning on for boss fights. And I think there has got to be a better way. Now, finally, to wrap this up, I'm just going to say this. Pre-Isleweaver, and this specifically started happening when Temporal Archimedia came out. So when Temple and the newest Hex members came out, or the, you know, Rascala family showed up, something with the Netracell drop table seems to have changed to where, like, getting a Tau Forge shard is, like, seemingly an act of God. Getting a regular shard is a blessing from God. And then getting a legendary arcane or a, you know, or an arcane adapter is, like, just the way it usually goes. I have 47 melee arcane adapters. And the majority of those I have gotten through the Netracells. I never pick them in the fucking calendar because what's the point? I'm just shitting these damn things. And it's like Temporal Archimedia hit. And if you run Elite Deep Archimedia or Elite Temporal Archimedia, you can get shards, whether Tau Forged or Standard, you get shards just falling at your ass. But if you do the one Netracell a week that you do, you're almost guaranteed you're only going to get a melee arcane adapter or, you know, a legendary arcane. And for those who don't have the legendary arcane, I bet they're going, fuck yeah. That's great, right? It's totally fine. But for those that have already got them all maxed out, it makes the Netracells, like, totally not even worth running. Like, why not just give us another fucking charge on, you know, one, instead of 5 charges, give us 6, and then we can just do Elite Deep Archimedia or Elite Temporal Archimedia again. I mean, why not? Because Netracells feel like a complete waste of fucking time ever since ETA released. Just my thoughts. I've seen other people complaining about it as well, so I know it's not just a me thing. But you let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think's good? What do you think's meh to bad? And what do you think is just really shitty, right? You let me know down in the comments. I am damn curious about what you got to say about it. So, folks, thanks very much for watching. As always, we'll catch you in the next one, all right?